Logic dictates that when you have no expectations for something, you're more likely to enjoy it, as you don't have to measure your actual experience up against what you were anticipating. This phenomenon can lead to amazing nights out where you had expected to just sit at home, or thoroughly enjoying an inexpensive indie video game that you thought would be a cheap time waster. Some things just take us by complete surprise, far exceeding our low expectations and leaving us with a smile on our face. The Marvels is not one of those things. Just 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, the Marvels served up a messy, stupid story of a meal with a bland, boring villain, a side of half-baked Brie Larson, and peppered with cringy scenes and entirely manufactured tension. All this paired with a side of what is the point of this movie, and a hefty heaping of what the hell is Marvel even doing. It's difficult to even pin down what the major problems with the Marvels are because there's so little that the movie did right, and almost the entire film was forgotten by the time the screen faded to black. I'll plumb the depths of my darkest memories to try and fish up where the Marvels did the most wrong, but first let's get in a quick recap of the story. So of course, spoilers ahead. When an evil Kree lady villain, Supremor Dar-Ben, is on a rampage across the galaxy in search of magic jewelry, because, you know, chicks will do anything for nice jewelry, a single woman with a cat called Captain Marvel has to spring into action to stop her. But she quickly finds out that when she uses her powers at the same time as Miss Marvel and Monica Rambeau, they switch places with each other. Every time this happens, hilarity ensues and it leads to wacky, zany fun. Or at least that's probably what the script said. Miss Marvel comes to us from her own Disney Plus show that could not be more irrelevant, though she is the most likable out of the three, and Monica Rambeau became a superhero in one of the cringiest scenes in TV history in WandaVision. And along with Captain Marvel, these three are the Marvels. Dar-Ben is going around the galaxy and robbing planets of the very things that her people lost on their home planet of Halal, like its atmosphere, its water, and its sun, and trying to kill the Skrulls and Captain Marvel in the process. Meanwhile, Captain Marvel, aka Carol Danvers, has to come face to face with Monica Rambeau for the first time since the Captain disappeared in the 90s. Monica decides she's angry at Carol for being forcibly abducted and brainwashed 30 years ago, because the writer needed to find some way to manufacture some tension between the characters in an attempt to make the audience care. It doesn't work. Eventually, the three Marvels end up on Planet Disney, the worst planet to be added to a Disney canon since Planet Lizzo. This brightly colored idyllic planet is wonderfully diverse and requires you to sing and dance to communicate, and Supremor Dar-Ben is here to steal this planet's water with her planet-conquering force of roughly 15 soldiers. Luckily, she succeeds. After failing to stop her, the Marvels are emotional, and Captain Marvel talks about how she's responsible for the Kree Civil War that gave rise to Dar-Ben. And then Monica somehow ties this to the reason Carol never came home because whatever, let's just tie all these loose ends together and call it a bow. When Dar-Ben shows up to Earth to steal our sun, Nick Fury, who appears in this movie after the roaring success of Secret Invasion, has to evacuate a bunch of people from a space station. They don't have enough escape craft for everyone because why not manufacture some tension and some fun by having these space cats swallow everyone? The space cats run around the space station and use their tentacles to swallow everyone whole. This allows them to fit a bunch of cats into the escape craft instead of people, and it gives us the stupidest scene in the movie. The Marvels fight off Dar-Ben and seemingly defeat the crazy bitch, but it's a trick, and she takes another piece of jewelry from Miss Marvel, using it to tear a hole in space-time, but killing herself in the process. Monica goes through to the other side into an alternate reality and seals up the hole, and then she says she always knew she'd have to do this, which is a reference to absolutely nothing that preceded this moment. Earth is saved, and we wrap things up with Miss Marvel recruiting Kate Bishop to form a preteen all-female Avenger squad that will be a massive box office hit, and Monica Rambeau waking up in this alternate reality with her mother turned superhero and Beast from the X-Men universe. And then the movie mercifully comes to an end. Well, it's all but a formality at this point, but we have reached that point in the video where we have to decide if this movie was a great watch or a hate watch. And of course, it's a hate watch. So Captain Marvel 2 was canned in favor of this, right? Imagine how bad that would have been if they thought this was better, because this thing was a mess. Like I said, there are so many problems in the Marvels that it's difficult and honestly pointless to really drill down on everything that it does wrong. But for me, the biggest overarching thought I had was, what are we doing here? Isn't the MCU supposed to have coherent phases and smaller stories that significantly feed into a larger story for the saga? Last I heard, they were in phase 5 out of 6, so how does this one really advance the multiverse of mediocrity saga? Isn't Kang supposed to be somewhere? I don't think it bodes well for Marvel that this far into the saga they haven't really built up the big bad villain everyone is supposed to be afraid of at the end. And rather than use this movie to refocus and get things back on track as the story works toward the big explosive finale against Kang, we get not only this shit heap of a movie, but also teases for preteen girl Avengers and the Monica Rambeau show. Marvel has lost the plot, and it's no wonder that we've been hearing rumblings about bringing back the original MCU stars to squeeze a few more dollars out of it while they can. And instead of incorporating Kang the Conqueror or anyone interesting, they gave us maybe the most forgettable villain in MCU history. This chick was a bland, one-and-done generic villain who needs to hunt down MacGuffins and hurt some unimportant people along the way. It was like someone wrote a script about the Marvel mams having fun at a sleepover and using their powers to switch places and have some laughs, and at the last minute remembered that they needed a villain and a story. And then when that dumpster fire of a story came together, it was just a series of events with no heart or tension. So they just created some tension by forcing some nonsensical wedge between Captain Marvel and Monica Rambeau, and the solution to their issues makes as little sense as when they first cropped up. Like I said, it was all just a mess, and it really feels pointless to narrow in on all the problems here. If I have to say something positive about the Marvels, I'd say that at least it's not 2.5 hours long. This movie flies in, shits up the place for just over 90 minutes, and then makes a quick exit. So there's that. Of course, this movie wouldn't be a Nia DaCosta directed film starring Brie Larson if it wasn't chock full of amazingly cringy things. So the Marvels might be worth watching if you want to see an Asian guy telling the black superhero to smile more, the white superhero making the black girl move to the seat at the back of the ship, Monica Rambeau's powers literally being called Black Girl Magic, and who could forget Brie Larson attempting to sing. Even the AstroTurfed ratings are middling for this movie, but things are looking worse at the box office. And this performance is actually bolstered by the fact that the SAG-AFTRA strike kept Brie Larson gagged during the marketing campaign for the Marvels, preventing her from driving things even further into the ground. So this movie looks to be crashing and burning all on its own. It's difficult to see a positive path forward for the MCU, as the only MCU movie release set for 2024 is Deadpool 3. And the Sony Marvel Spider-Verse, or whatever it's called, is set to bless us with such amazing Marvel titles like Madam Web and Kraven the Hunter. So if things are ever to get back on track for the MCU, you'll have to wait for 2025 for that. But we won't hold our breath. Do you see any way for the MCU to get back to some level of success at this point? Are you more excited for a preteen girls Avengers movie or a Monica Rambeau show? Should Marvel just bring back Thanos to end all this crap? Let us know in the comments below. And if you haven't already, remember to like the video if you liked it and subscribe to HateWatchers for reviews of other current shows and movies. Thank you for joining us for some wacky, zany fun today, and we'll catch you on the next one.